Some winters begin without warning, a breath in the cold, a sound softened by snow, a moment you don't realize you'll keep forever. They say memory drifts like snowfall, light, quiet, returning to the places where warmth once lived. And sometimes, in the hush of a winter morning, you find yourself standing in an old version of your own world, one where everything felt simpler, softer, brighter than you remember. This is the story of the days that stayed, the one that settled gently on the heart and never melted away. This is winter's last melody, the days that stayed. Some memories don't feel like memories at first. They feel like small, ordinary moments, until time turns them into something brighter. Haru remembered the hall that day, the warmth of the heaters, the way snow drifted lazily outside the tall windows, softening the world beyond the glass. He had just entered a building, boots still dusted with white, not really sure which club to join, only knowing that the winter made him want to try something warm and quiet. That's when he saw him. Ren stood behind the small wooden table with a handmade sign, Music Box Craft Club, Beginner's Welcome. He wasn't calling out to students like the other clubs. He wasn't flashy or loud or even trying to recruit. He was simply focused, turning a tiny wooden gear between his fingers, examining it with a kind of gentle concentration that made the whole noisy hall feel quieter. Haru slowed down. Ren's scarf was wrapped too high, covering half his face. But his eyes were soft, steady, warm in a way Haru didn't expect from a stranger. Ren looked up, sensing someone had stopped in front of the table. Just for a moment, their eyes met. Haru opened his mouth to say something, anything, but Ren spoke first, voice quiet and shy. You can try making one. The music boxes, I mean. If you want. It wasn't a sales pitch, not even close. It was an invitation said the way Ren did, everything at that age. Something in Haru melted a little. He stepped closer, drawn in by the warmth of the scene. The wooden pieces lined neatly in trays. The soft ticking sound of a tiny metal spring, Ren's breath fogging slightly as cold air from the hallway drifted in. Haru reached for a small wooden box. Ren's finger brushed his by accident, and just like that, the memory opened, bright and quiet, exactly the way Haru chose to keep it. Haru remembers sitting down before he even decided to. Ren had pulled a chair out for him, awkwardly, shyly, as if unsure whether it was the right thing to do. Haru sat. Ren exhaled, relieved. Between them, the beginner music box kit waited. A small wooden casing, 4 tiny gears, a metal comb wrapped in paper. Ren cleared his throat softly. You start with this one, he said, picking up the first gear. It's easy, I mean, maybe not too easy, but you'll get it. His voice was gentle, almost careful. The kind of tone people use when they want you to feel welcome. Haru watched his hands move, steady, precise, yet somehow nervous too. He mirrored the motion, picking up the same piece. Their elbows brushed, neither pulled away. Ren leaned a little closer to point at the slot on the wooden frame. Here, Haru fitted the gear into place. It clicked softly. Ren's eyes brightened, not dramatically, just enough for Haru to notice. Perfect, Ren murmured, almost proud, and Haru, surprised by the warmth blooming in his chest, smiled without thinking. Ren noticed, looked away quickly, then back again. But somehow, that moment lingered. Ren handed him the second piece, fingertips brushing his. Haru tightened the tiny screw. Ren steadied the box so it wouldn't wobble. Their hands worked in a quiet harmony. The last gear slid neatly into place. Ren let out a soft breath, a laugh almost too small to hear. See? You're good at this. Haru shook his head. You just explained it really well. Ren's ears turned pink. He didn't deny it. He didn't look away this time. For the first time that winter, Haru felt something shift. A gentle, warming tug inside him. The beginning of a melody he would remember for years. The snow outside thickened, blurring the world to white. Inside, the music box took its shape, and so did something else. Some people don't enter your life slowly. They arrive, and before you know it, your days begin to bend toward them, without effort, without fear, without thinking. Haru remembers in its flashes, bright, warm, quiet pieces of a winter that felt kinder than the ones before it. Ren waiting for him outside the clubroom, hands tucked into his sleeves because he forgot gloves again. The two of them walking across campus with the kind of closeness that didn't need explanation, carrying the same pace, the same quiet comfort. The way Ren would look at the music box part was deep focus, and Haru would study him instead, learning more from the curve of Ren's expression than the lesson itself, and how Ren always seemed relieved when Haru showed up again the next day. Ren offered Haru the warm can of cocoa from the vending machine. It's cold, so here. Evenings where they stayed too long in the clubroom, the heater humming, the campus outside turning blue with early night cold, and neither of them wanting to leave first. It happened fast, faster than anything in Haru's life up to that point. One winter, and Ren was suddenly the person he saw everywhere. Looking back, Haru often felt this was when they became one. Just two boys who didn't know how not to be around each other. The campus pass was nearly empty by the time they left the clubroom. Evening had turned the snow pale blue, and the lamps glowed in a small halos that trembled with the wind. Haru walked a little slower than usual, not because he was tired, but because Ren was next to him, close enough that their sleeves brushed now and then. A patch of ice caught Haru off guard. He slipped, just half a step, but Ren reacted before either of them had time to think. A hand at Haru's wrist. Haru regained balance, but Ren didn't let go right away. His fingers stayed where they were, not gripping, not pulling, just there. Haru's pulse flickered in his chest, surprised at how much a touch could feel like being seen. The snowfall thickened, each flake drifting slower, heavier, as if the world was trying to give them a moment. Ren's hand loosened, just slightly, as if about to retreat. Haru didn't move. His fingers shifted, only a small adjustment, barely noticeable, but enough for Ren's hand to settle into his, their palms aligning underneath. For a second, nothing happened, and then everything did. Ren's fingers curled softly around his. Not a bold hold, a shy one, a beginning. No one else was on the pass, no club members heading home, no couples passing by, just the two of them, and the sound of a snow touching ground. They were supposed to split at the courtyard. That was the routine. Haru toward the dorms, Ren toward the station. But after the handhold, neither of them loosened their fingers when the crossroad arrived. Haru slowed down. Ren matched him. Haru turned left. Ren followed. Neither said anything about it. The snow started falling heavier, each flake tapping softly on the hood of Ren's jacket. Haru glanced sideways. You're soaked, he said, voice warm with concern. You want to come in? Just for a bit? To warm up? Ren nodded too quickly, a little embarrassed, a little relieved. Inside Haru's small dorm room, the air smelled faintly of laundry and instant miso. He turned on the small floor heater, its orange coils glowing softly. Ren sat across from him on the floor, legs tucked in, steam rising from his breath. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. A long moment passed where they just listened to the heater hum. Ren's knee brushed Haru's once, then again. Then they both pretended not to move closer. Haru handed him a towel for his hair. Ren used it clumsily. Haru laughed softly. Ren looked up with pink cheeks, towel half covering his face. Sorry, Ren murmured. For what? Ren shrugged. For everything, I guess. Haru shook his head. Something softened in the air. Their heater's warmth spread across the room. Ren's fingertips inched closer along the floor, stopping just beside Haru's hand without touching. Haru felt his breast catch, not out of fear, but because it felt inevitable. You okay? Haru asked quietly. Ren nodded. I just don't want to go back out yet. Then don't, Haru said. And he meant it. Ren's shoulder relaxed for the first time since they came inside. They ended up sitting shoulder to shoulder, back against Haru's narrow bed, sharing the same blanket. The snow outside kept falling. The night kept deepening, but neither of them moved toward the door. Ren leaned just slightly, his head almost touching Haru's. Haru felt the warmth of him, like something fragile and new. Is it okay if I stay a little longer? Ren whispered. Haru didn't look at him. He didn't need to. Yeah, he said, voice soft. Stay. And Ren did. The blanket shifted. Their shoulders pressed closer. Their hands, which had been resting separately, began drifting again, slowly, naturally, until Ren's finger found Haru's under the fold of the fabric. Haru felt something loosen in his chest, something that had been held tightly for weeks without a name. They stayed like that, shoulders touching, hands hidden but held, their breasts brushing the same small pocket of air. Haru turned slightly toward him. Ren mirrored him without thinking. The room felt smaller. The space between them felt careful, fragile, full. Ren looked at Haru for just a second too long. The kind of second that says everything without sound. Haru's breast caught. Ren noticed, and that noticing brought him closer. Not all at once, just a slow lean, like gravity was choosing for them. Haru didn't move away. Their foreheads brushed first, a quiet, accidental touch. Ren inhaled shakily. Haru exhaled like he'd been waiting for this without knowing. Ren leaned the rest of the way. Their lips met softly, barely there, a feather-light touch, a nervous press, a first kiss that felt like stepping into warm light after standing in the cold too long. Ren made a tiny sound, and it pulled Haru closer without thinking. They parted by only a breath. Ren's lashes trembled. Haru swallowed, heart unsteady and full. Then Haru leaned in again. This time the kiss landed with intention. Ren's hand lifted from under the blanket and cupped Haru's cheek, thumb brushing once. They didn't rush. They didn't deepen. They simply held the moment, as if it was something delicate and rare. When they finally pulled apart, foreheads still touching, their breasts mixed in the narrow space between them. Ren kept his hand on Haru's cheek. Haru covered it with his own, holding it there. Their lips, still warm from the kiss. The blanket slipped from their shoulders. They didn't notice. Ren shifted closer, his knees brushing Haru's, his breast trembling with something new. Not fear, not uncertainty, just the unfamiliar weight of wanting. Haru lifted a hand, hesitating for only a heartbeat, before touching Ren's jaw, his fingers tracing along warm skin, like he was learning a shape he always wondered about. Ren's eyes fluttered shut at the touch. Haru leaned in again, their lips meeting with a little more certainty. a little more want. Still slow, still gentle, but carrying a warmth that spread through the room, like the quiet glow of the heater. They stayed close like that for a long time, kissing softly, carefully, with the hesitant confidence of two people who had never done this before. But they knew, instinctively, how to be gentle with each other. Ren shifted, and Haru led him, their bodies aligning in a way that felt natural, like they were finding a place that had always been waiting. Haru's hand slid to Ren's shoulder. Ren's fingers curled into Haru's sweater. Their breasts tangled, their hearts caught. They paused once, the tiniest moment of stillness, where both of them seemed to ask wordlessly, "Is this okay?" Haru nodded first, barely noticeable, but enough. Ren answered by leaning in again, his forehead resting against Haru's, as their lips met in a slow, trembling kiss that deepened by emotion alone. The room felt warm, the world felt soft. Their closeness unfolded piece by piece, gentle touches, the kind of warmth two first-timers find when they are learning someone they care for. They held each other like it was the most natural thing they ever done, learning warmth, learning closeness, learning each other, with a tenderness that didn't need to be explained. Winter didn't change all at once. It changed in small ways, quiet ways, the kind that never feel like a beginning until you look back. After the first night, Ren started staying over often. At first it was once a week, then twice. Then it became so natural that Haru found himself leaving a spare toothbrush in the cup beside his own, without thinking about it. Ren laughed when he saw it, a soft, embarrassed sound, but he never moved it. Kisses becoming part of their routine, a greeting, a good night, a pause between words, each one soft and tentative at first, then deeper, then something that neither of them questioned anymore. Some nights, their closeness deepened in the shy, careful way of two first-timers, learning warmth with hands and breath rather than certainty. A memory folded into light and quiet, the room dimming into something tender and unspoken. Rumors drifted through the campus like early snow, but neither boy cared. They walked past whispers with fingers brushing, with smiles they couldn't hide, with a closeness that didn't need permission. Between classes and cold mornings, they spent hours in the music box room, the scent of wood shavings, a metallic click of tiny gears, the soft glow of the lamp above their workspace. Haru worked quietly on his project, a box carved with two small trees inside, their branches leaning just close enough to touch. He sanded them carefully, traced the shape again and again, until the wood felt like a memory under his fingers. Ren sat beside him, tongue between his teeth in concentration, working on something of his own. One late afternoon, with snow drifting lazily outside the frosted window, Ren finished his box. He held it out awkwardly. "Here." Haru blinked at him, surprised. Ren's box wasn't perfect, the carving slightly uneven, the figures a little simple, but inside, two tiny shapes held hands. "It's us," Ren muttered, face going pink. Haru's heart tightened in a way he didn't have words for. He opened his mouth, felt the weight of the box in his hands, felt Ren's hope like a soft light beside him, and froze. His own project sat unfinished beside him, not perfect enough, not ready, not good enough to give back. He hesitated, just a second, but it was enough. Ren's expression flickered, barely there, a small crack in his smile before he pulled it back together. "I just wanted you to have it." Haru forced a smile. Ren nodded, but the moment had already shifted, just a little, a faint shadow where only warmth had been. The snow outside thickened, blurring the world to white. Ren moved closer again, and Haru leaned into him, letting the warmth return. The air felt clear somehow, sharp, bright, filled with the quiet buzz of something unspoken between them. They walked together toward the courtyard, the same way they had always did, shoulders brushing every few steps, hands grazing. Ren looked tired from studying, eyes soft, hair pushed back messily under his beanie. He kept stealing glances at Haru. Whenever he thought Haru wasn't looking, Haru noticed everything. At the courtyard, their paths split. Haru toward his dorm, Ren toward the station. They stopped without needing to say why. The snow fell lightly, dusting Ren's scarf and lashes. "See you tomorrow," Ren asked. Haru nodded. Ren smiled, a small relieved curve of his lips, and turned to go. Haru watched him take a few steps, just a few. Then Ren paused. He turned back, eyes meeting Haru's across the quiet courtyard. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a grand gesture. Just a soft look that said everything they hadn't found words for yet. Haru's hand tightened on the strap of his bag. Ren's fingers flexed at his side, like he almost reached out again. Neither of them moved closer. Neither stepped away. The snow kept falling between two boys standing in a silence that didn't feel empty at all. Ren gave a tiny nod. Haru answered with one of his own. Then they walked their separate routes, but both kept turning back, just once more, and then once again, until the path curved and the other was out of sight. Some winters stay with you, in the way footsteps linger on fresh snow, or how a single moment can echo long after it's gone. For Haru, this was the winter he remembered most. The warmth, the closeness, the days that stayed. And if you'd like to keep walking through Haru's memories with us, there's more waiting. This was Winter's Last Melody, Chapter 1, The Days That Stayed. Thank you for listening to Winter's Last Melody. If you want the next chapter, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Gay Audiobooks, and leave a comment so you never miss the next part. And tell me, do you prefer it when I narrate? I love to know what you think.